Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Orange Bumper Podcast. Today, I have two really cool guests, not just for racing, but for me personally. Phillip Dixon is not here today. He's on his annual crochet convention. What they do is they knit coffee mug coasters for retired highway patrol. So hurry back, Phillip. Also today, just something on a side note, Slate is usually here with us. Slate started his first day of high school today, so he's not here. It's funny because I think Phillip asked him if he was excited for school to start back, and he said yes, and I kind of raised my eyebrows because no kid says yes when you ask them about starting school back. And he said, well, actually, I'm going to get a break by starting school because I've had him at the shop working on race cars all summer. But anyway, on a personal note as well, I want to say hopefully everybody has remembered Robbie Brewer's family and their thoughts and their prayers. Very tragic what happened Saturday night, losing Robbie. So please keep their family in your thoughts and your prayers. So today we have Phillip Smith and Gary Myers, my dad. Like I said, these two are not just legends in racing, not just modified, but Southern modified racing in general. But obviously one's my dad and one's like my second racing dad, I guess you could say. What I want to do though, real quick, is take care of some housekeeping first. I want to give a shout out to Justin Mincy because I had to call Justin to get some facts and some stuff. I want to just give a real quick race recap of what happened Saturday night. Let's get that out of the way. It was twin 50s for the modifieds. Qualified third, redrew sixth. The twin 50s are really tough because they redraw the top six. Well, the reason that makes that tough is because the five other cars that are in that redraw are all really good cars. So it's not like a 100-lapper where they do the whole field. So redrawing sixth, we knew we had an uphill battle. Finished third. Second race, the winner drew 16, put us way back again and came back to seventh. Slate actually took the lead in the second race about halfway through, and with 10 to go, started having a right front go down and lost the lead and ended up fourth. So we really thought that'd be cool if Slate got his first win. But he did not. After the race, he said, Dad, I just feel like I can't win. And I said, Slate, it's not that you can't win. It's that you did not win tonight. And neither did I. And neither did 20 other people. So he's getting good spirits about it. But sometimes you have to lose races like that to appreciate when you do win. So anyway, so I'm going to start with Phillip. Phillip, if any of these stats are not correct, you can correct me. These are what I found, and Justin Mincy helped me too, but Phillip started racing in 1965 in the hobby division. He got his first mod win in 1971. At Bowman Gray, Phillip Smith has 46 wins. He was the Bowman Gray champion in 1988, back-to-back, and also in 89. He was the Smart champion in 1989 in a series where he has 6 wins and 7 poles. Daddy, you started racing in 1967 in the claiming division. And Justin said, as a side note, back then there was 100-plus cars that maybe showed up in the claiming division. So that's pretty cool to think about. He got his first mod win in 1980. There's a cool program cover of Chocolate handing me to you. I was 4 years old, and I joke with people that was my first cover. How many drivers over there now they're racing today can say their first program cover was in 1980? So you have 38 wins at Bowman Gray. On the Smart Tour, you were the 1996 champion. You have 15 wins and 15 poles. I thought about, I'm going to let these guys tell some cool stories, and I don't want to sit here and dominate the conversation and get these guys talking, but I know what's going to happen. Once we start telling stories, it's going to just keep flowing and keep going. If you guys want to start now, we can. Obviously, I want to tell the story about how the 4 and the 1 and how all that came together. Obviously, Grandpa Billy was number 4, and then you were 4, and then I was 4. Then Jason is now 4, and Slate's now number 4. Slate's now number 4. On the Smart Tour. So that's 4 generations and 5 drivers of the same family with the same number. So it's pretty cool. Phillip, these are just a few numbers that pulled up that I know you've driven. Phillip's driven number 37, number 12, number 14, number 18, and number 1. I know 0 is also one for Hank.
Right.
So, and you guys are going to have to help me with this maybe. In 1994, you were driving still in the number 1 car. Right. Daddy, you were driving still in the number 4 car. I started then, and I was in the number 41 car driving one of your cars. In 1995, I guess you lost your dad.
94.
94, you lost your dad. So then that's when Phillip retired, and my dad, Gary, started driving for Phillip in the number 1 car.
Right.
When Daddy went to number 1, I went to number 4. And then from the 41 to number 4. And then when you retired in 05, I think it was, or the end of 04, is when I went to number 1 and Jason went to number 4. So that's just kind of a breakdown of how it all somewhat went down. So, Phillip, you before we went on air, you were talking about you want to kind of tell us how that all went down and how when you and him got together and he started driving your car. You want to kind of
I can tell
help walk us through that story a little bit, maybe.
I'm in the grading business, and back then my daddy got sick and my mama was down, and I had to sort of look after them. And Gary had wrecked his car at the stadium or somewhere, but anyway, I don't remember whether I talked to him or he talked to me or whatever, but I knew Gary was a good driver. So I said, well, Gary, you want to drive my car the rest of the season? And Gary said, why not? What have we got to lose? So we got together, and he started driving for me. That's how he got to number 1. But whenever I started with the number 1, I bought Larry Callahan and myself. We bought a car from Martinsville from David Riggs, and he had number 1 on it. So I just stuck with number 1, and I had a good success with number 1. I had several good sponsors, and so we created that over. We went with Doug Jones and different ones when Gary was driving for us. But anyway, that's sort of how he got started with Gary got started with number 1. And then later on, when we had a little sponsor deal worked out for Bert to come on after Gary was sort of sitting down, and Gary said, well, let's go ahead and let him have the number 1. So we got together. The only thing I thought it was in 2020. I'm not 20, but 2000. Yeah, I believe that's the year it was, I believe. But you said 24. What was it? The year you gave me a while ago?
05 is the first year that I am on record driving number 1.
Yeah.
But like I said,
I don't remember. I thought it was earlier than that.
It could be
when you started, because I got that wide car and 4 years before that.
Yeah.
And your daddy drove it.
That's Black Beauty.
Yeah, old Black Beauty.
Old Black Beauty. Yeah.
So then after that, you about dominated up there at Friendship with that car.
Yeah.
And but anyway, that's about all I can tell about how it really got started as far as the number 1 getting over to the Myers.
So it was just a no-brainer that you were going to be number 4, I guess, when you started. So when you started in the claiming division, was it 4? Were you number 4 right off the bat?
We just took a paintbrush and painted a number 4 on the side of it, and off we went. But it was number 4.
Okay. So what is I gotta shake these guys up. We gotta figure out a way to get some stories out of these guys. So what is, let's just start with this. What do you think, what's one of the coolest or neatest or most memorable moments in racing that you can remember, from claiming to when you quit to up to today? Is there something that it just sticks out? And I know that's a tough question because we've been successful and it's hard to pinpoint one, but
it would probably be a lot of them. But I think winning at North Wilkesboro and going up on that building was one of my favorites. So, my daddy The last race he won, I think, was at North Wilkesboro. So then I won and Jason won. Everybody's won but you.
Everybody but me.
So you're going to have to do better.
You've won there too, hadn't you, Doc?
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
See, the whole crowd, everybody but me. I'm
I
slipping.
give Phillip one night. I was putting Frank Fleming out, and Phillip come along and won the race.
So talk about, Phillip said before we started that you and Daddy's never had a crossword. That's hard to believe this day and time when you think about how racing is. But do you remember? Was there a time you two, like, maybe you hadn't had a crossword, but do you remember battling each other on the racetrack, or is there something that sticks out that?
I remember some of that. I remember when we was up there at what was that old track? Well, I got a picture of it there. Where did
You
I
said
think?
Coburn.
And Coburn.
Yeah.
We run side
That's
by
Lonesome
side.
Pine, right?
Yeah, Lonesome Pine.
Pine.
Yeah, we run side by side for I don't know how many laps, and neither one of us won the race. I think Billy Milton wound up winning the race, but I remember. And then over at the stadium, when Gary was driving the number 4, I was running against him. I said, "Man, I don't see how in the world a car can get off the corner like that car does." But Gary always was a good qualifier, but I always looked up to him as being a decent driver. That's the reason I thought I wanted to put him in my car. And we won races, won a championship, same way with you. And that means a whole lot, you know. Get back to North Wilkesboro. I think I won 2 races up there. But one time I was up there and, I was running second, didn't think I had a shot. Jimmy Spencer was driving the 07, leading the race. He come around and actually lapped me. And I got into his tracks and started racing. Next thing I knew, he was holding me up. And then again, he stopped up there on top of the racetrack, had a flat tire. So he come in the pits, and I think he might have come back to second, but I won the race.
Yeah.
That meant a whole lot, just like Gary was talking about getting up on top of that building. Boy, that was something back in them days to win at North Wilkesboro. So,
I wouldn't know.
I
I've been up there, but I didn't have a driving suit on when I did it. But well, I'll ask you, Phillip, is there something a memory that sticks out to you that?
Oh yeah, that was one of them. And but you know, the biggest one I guess was you used to have what they call a Winston 350 at Bowman Gray, and I got hurt the year before. I think that was in '95. No, it wasn't. 85, wasn't it?
I don't.
75.
No,
70-something.
75 when I
Because
got
I was in Talladega, so I
yeah,
was
it
driving
was in
that car.
1975. But anyway, I'm not used to talking on all this stuff. But anyway, I come back the next year, and Hank Thomas had offered me a ride in this Zero car, and we put it together, and we had RCA for a sponsor. And I just felt like it was something in my body that telling me that I had to get back in a race car, and I did. And I've had the best career in my life since I got back in it after I got hurt. But I come back that same next year and won the Winston 350. And boy, that was something I'll never forget. That was quite a show.
Well, if you don't mind telling, a lot of people may not know. You said you got hurt. If you don't mind talking about it, you want to tell everybody what happened to you?
Well, we was it was really hot that night, and back then a lot of people didn't wear the equipment they got today. I had an open face helmet on. I couldn't find my left hand glove before the race. I did have one on my right hand. We didn't have radios. And anyway, I coming into number 3 over there. Now back then I said, no, was that number 3 back in them
3.
days? They changed the racetrack around, you know.
Yeah, but that was 4 then.
Yeah, number 4. But anyway, the accelerator stuck on the car, and I went into the wall almost head on. And Billy Milton was running behind me, and he come in right on top of me and knocked the top of the fuel cell off. And when he did, it set the whole car on fire. And I spent about 6 weeks in the hospital and trying to recover. At the awfulest time of my life. But anyway, after that, it just felt like it's something in my system telling me I need to get back in a car. And I did, but it started a lot of people wearing gloves. It started a lot of people wearing full face helmets and getting the fire extinguisher that went off on its own. And we got good equipment over there now. Something must have happened. If I'd have had that equipment back then, I don't think I'd be in the shape that I got burned.
It makes me think about, when we had Ryan Priest on here.
Yeah.
And it showed him with his eyes all blacked up. And he said, getting in the race car is what we do.
Yeah.
Getting in the race car. So I know that other racers can relate to what you're saying, that you just felt like you had to get back in there.
Yeah. It was crazy, but they give you all that old medicine in the hospital and you think about it and you think about it, trying to recover,
You just want it out of there. I know you enough to know you want out of that hospispittal.
Yeah, I said to myself, if I could just get in a race car and make a lap or get in a bulldozer, do a little work, I'd be all right.
Oh, I'll switch over to you, Daddy. So, and I know most of it, but I want you to tell. So you started racing in the claiming division in 67.
Right.
All right. So you'd have been 17 years old because you were born in 50. Kind of walk us through where you went from the claiming division to up through the years. And then you ended up in the modifieds when you retired. So where did you go from the claiming division?
Well, somebody claimed my car the last race.
All right, let's explain that. That's a really cool story. What is the claiming division?
It's $99 claim. Anybody in the grandstands or anywhere else can come down and claim your car for $99. And you have to sell it or quit. So I sold it. I was going to buy it back, and never got the chance to. But I built the old 56 Ford over the winter to run in the claiming division. Spent a little bit more than $99 on it. I carried it to the stadium. Guy claimed it. Well, I said, I'll just claim it back next week. Well, they carried the car to 311 and never brought it back to the stadium. So I lost that car. And the daggone camshaft didn't cost more than what I got. So anyway, I moved up to hobby. What year was it?
I don't have those notes.
Must have been 68, 78, 68. Moved up to hobby. Built a little old Chevelle. It was a daggone fast car, but
let me stop you there. What would hobby be related to today? Is there any way to relate that to
hobby? Would be like a limited sports.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
6 cylinders.
6 cylinders.
Yeah,
okay.
6 cylinders, yeah.
Okay.
But it was a heck of a good car. But I didn't understand back then what it meant to have really good tires. So we was just going around to places like Richard Petty's and places like that, buying used tires and putting on the car.
Because they didn't have it. You just put any tire you wanted to on there?
Well, it was a tire T16. That was a soft thing Goodyear made. So, but we'd go over and slide around, and old Alfred Hill, he was putting on new Firestones. I mean, it's hard to beat a new tire, like that.
Yeah.
But we heard about this track up there in Franklin County, and we decided to go up there. Well, them T16s was perfect for Franklin County. I mean, it was a little fast bait track. But we won a bunch of races up there. And then after that, I moved up to a sports late model. I built a little 68 Chevelle late model. I had some good help financially. And we built a super nice car, and I carried it to Martinsville. And the first lap I was on the track, I lost it coming off a 4 and hit the wall.
Ouch.
So, but anyway, we went on and fixed the car and went to start running Caraway. First race I run, I finished second to Harry Gant. But we run all year long and won the championship, and I won one race. So that was pretty good for, being a rookie. But after that, I went to Cup cars.
Grand National is what they call it then, right?
Yeah, they was Grand
but
Nationals.
It was the Cup Series.
Right. And I run in it 3 years. I would run 10 races first year, 10 the second year, and about 15 the third year. And I think the best I ever finished was 11th. But, 11th now would be like winning.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed it. It was the best time of my life. But we lost our sponsorship at the end of the year, and we just had to call it quit, and I went to modified.
Yeah.
Because some motors and stuff I had would adapt over to modified, so I bought a modified and started racing modified.
I knew most of that. I didn't know all of that, but I knew most of that. I've heard you talk about, Phillip, running like a race of champions at Pocono and stuff. Was that at the big Pocono?
Yeah,
The big track?
No, we run
No.
a 3/4 mile.
The 3/4 mile. But have you run Daytona?
Oh, yeah.
I thought I've heard you say you
we
ran
ran the
Daytona.
road course in 19, I guess it was 76.
What division was that?
That was a modified.
Modified.
They had
Okay.
the modified.
And that's whenever I've seen pictures where they had the fenders.
Right.
It was a modified, but they put a
Yeah,
front end on
yeah.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought I'd seen some pictures like that. So
That was that was a different situation for us little boys, you know. We thought that was something to be on that big track.
Yeah,
And it was.
it was.
I've heard you talk about, I think it was one time maybe you got a speeding ticket. You left the racetrack or something, left Daytona or Talladega, and got a cop stopped you, and you said, "Man, I just raced it. I just run 200 miles an hour." So
Yeah. I told him, I said, man, it's hard to, get your speed down after been running like that all day. I think he finally let me go because we got to talking about Dale Earnhardt, and he knew Dale. Said Dale hunted on his land. And we got talking about Dale, and he forgot about
he
the
forgot
ticket.
about the speeding ticket. Oh, that's cool. Oh my goodness! Well, we got to get some more stories out of you guys. I've sat in race shops with you two for years, and I know there's some stories that that we got to drag out some stories here.
The stories now wouldn't be near as, are a whole lot different than they were back then. I mean, we raced over all year long and never changed the body part.
Yeah,
I mean, it was respect among the drivers. And now it's just bam, bam, get out of my way.
yeah. I think unfortunately, just the atmosphere, social media is a big part of it, and the TV shows that came out. I think that was a big part of it too. I remember one time, Phillip, one of the first times I remember knowing who you were. I was a kid, and you were upside down on the front stretch, and it was an 18 car. What car? What? Tell me about that situation. Do you remember? Surely you remember you got upside down.
Yeah. Which time?
You've been upside down more than once.
Yeah, I turned Bud Hudson's car upside down over there one night. And you don't forget about turning upside down.
I would say.
I don't remember. It's a funny feeling, but everything, it was smooth, it wasn't all that bad, but you don't forget it.
I just remember it was the 18 was that Reed's car.
Yeah.
All right. I remember you being, it was a start finish line and you were upside down
Yeah.
in number 18. And that's the first time I actually remember.
Back then we used to clip on soaked tires, and boy, it was a sight. But I knew I was driving that car, that 18 car, and they had this, what they call a Winston, 4 laps. And whoever done that, they paid $1,000. And
Yeah.
you got a trophy for it. And I was driving that old car, Reed's. And I remember Jack Grimm them stayed up all night long soaking tires, and said they put them in a tobacco barn. Got them warm. But anyway, I cut 4 laps, and I got that $1,000. And boy, that was really something back in them days, because I always had that Winston for the cut boys, so R.J. Reynolds was a big factor over at the stadium at one time for his Winston.
Yeah. Well, but 4 of us got to do that, was it? You and me and Johnny Johnson.
Yeah,
and
Johnny, I think, wound up
somebody,
second.
I don't know who the other one was.
Yeah.
Well, you want to know the sad part of that? What year do you think that was?
I don't know. Tell me what year it was.
Well, I don't know. The sad part is it had to be 40, 50 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Early 80s.
Okay.
maybe.
All right. Well, today.
No, I'd say it was in the 70s. I
Think
think.
70s?
Oh,
All right.
I wasn't running
Well-
modified at 70s.
You wouldn't?
It was in the 80s.
80s
Well,
if
maybe
you were
it was.
modified. What I was going to say is today, 2025, the fastest lap of the year at Bowman Gray Stadium at the end of the year
Uh-huh.
pays $1,000.
Yeah.
And you just told me you won $1,000 for winning that back 30
Yeah.
plus years ago.
And I remember sitting on the pole that night, And I won the race, but I had a stiff spring on the right rear, and it got so loose I couldn't hardly drive it. Zach Twirly was running second. I thought he was going to break my neck. He beat on me, and he beat on me, and I just tied it down. But I won the race, too, that night. And Zach come over to me and said, Smith, man, I hate to hit you like that. I said, yeah, I'm going to feel it tomorrow because my neck sure does hurt.
You know, as far as purses go, the purses was a whole lot better back then than they are now.
You think about the overhead and the price of the equipment and stuff like that?
Used to pay $3,000 to win. Now it pays $2,000. Used to have the Winston money, which paid $5,000.
The bonus money. I remember
Bonus
that.
money.
Right.
Yeah. They had a halfway from the year bonus money.
Yeah.
I mean, it was one year they had lap money where they paid so much a lap, you know, to lead. But all that's gone. I mean,
Yeah, I know we used to, when they'd have the banquet, you know, they'd do it up right. You know, we got to go to Tennessee to the Grand Ole Opry, stayed in the Grand Ole Opry Hotel.
yeah.
And
Is that when you won a championship?
Yeah.
You went in there and sung that song?
yeah, I did it my way.
I did it my way.
I've
heard that
I'd like
story.
to sing
now.
that.
I
now,
would too.
too.
Tell us about it, Doc.
I don't know, but they had a recording studio, and Larry Tomar went with us up there, and I remember recording that song. I couldn't sing, but it just like it was meant to happen. That was after I got hurt too, you know.
Yeah.
And that song really did fall into place.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I want to hear some stories about. I know in all of racing nowadays, the rules are a lot tighter, and there's less things you can do. Everybody knows about in Cup that these things are basically like IROC cars. Everybody's is the same. Back in y'all's day, though, I want to know some creative stuff that maybe you came up with that you tried that it worked that nobody was doing at the time. Can either one of you think of something that?
Well, I mean, I probably run a different setup than anybody over. I used to run a 650-pound spring in the right front and a 250 in the right rear.
Don't tell everybody.
Well, I mean, I don't think nobody can get by with
I
it
don't believe that'll work
nowadays.
now, but
But it did back then. But it seemed like that old car, I had about 80 spring you put in it, it run good.
Yeah.
But I remember, you know, all our stuff back then was built out of junkyard stuff. And Frank Fleming, I think, was about the first one to come over there with a Troyer car with a high dollar equipment.
a bought car.
Yeah, a bought car. But it changed everything. I mean, everybody else had to start doing the same thing. So,
Well, I mean, like you were talking about the tires. I know back then, and I've heard stories about. I forget who it was the first one to figure out to add or take away leaf springs in the back of the cars back in the day. Is there something that, Phillip, is there something you can remember that y'all came up with or tried or something that y'all built that was a little bit out of the ordinary that?
Well, you know, several years ago, you didn't have power steering, and that was really. I mean, we had to manhandle a car, but you have to set your
You had a
front
steering
end.
wheel about that big around too, didn't you?
Well, where it was steering good, you wouldn't believe how much the front end. I know we was racing up Franklin County with an old straight axle, and you couldn't hardly drive that car. And I thought you had to have about 4 degrees of caster on the right side and swing the left front dead level, but it made it stir so hard. And I found out later on from old Lord Underwood over here in High Point, if you'd bring that caster straight up, it'd stir a lot easier. But the biggest thing is when Bud Hutchins first built that car he had with power steering, I never had drove a power steering car. And our first race was at North Wilkesboro. And I went up there, and I'm telling you, that be the thing I ever seen in my life. You go down the straightaway and you want to race it like you used to, and it just darting back and forth. But that was the best thing that ever happened for us.
So it wasn't that you couldn't have power steering; it's just nobody had it.
Nobody had it.
Nobody had it. So
Nobody
the first
had it.
guy that put it on there basically reinvented racing.
Well,
to
they
a
come
certain
up with.
extent. I mean,
they started using those Pinto racks, and you tear one up, and you go back up there to dealership, not dealership, but Triad Auto or somewhere like that and get one that's rebuilt and put it on there.
Yep.
You couldn't straighten them, just bust them or throw them away. The sorriest thing it ever made, but it sure did make a car very easy. In that.
I remember, I'm old enough, I remember the Pinto racks. I remember whenever we was running, because, what you do is you go to the auto parts and buy one.
Yeah.
And then if you busted it, they replaced it. It had a warranty on it.
They would. They sure would.
They finally caught wind that we were actually putting them on race cars, and they stopped that.
That was a big to-do as far as getting a modified changed over to that.
Yeah. Well, see, a lot of people don't know in a most oval racetrack or race cars, when you let go of the steering wheel, it pulls to the left all by itself.
Yeah.
So when you don't have, and I don't remember the days of no power steering, but I have been in races where my power steering failed.
Yeah.
And you have to understand, when you let go of the steering wheel and it wants to go left down the straightaway, well, that means with no power steering, you have to brace yourself and hold the car in a straight line.
Yeah.
So when you get to the corner, it wants to turn. Well, if you ever get out of shape, you can't correct it. So I can't imagine back in the day actually running a race without power steering. That would and everybody had no power steering.
On 15-inch tires too. I mean, big old wide tires.
Maybe that's why everybody respected each other a little more, because they knew if you got into somebody, it didn't take much and you'd crash everything out there. Well, do y'all remember, like, did y'all ever drive leaf spring cars? I mean, did y'all ever play with leaf springs and stuff like that?
Lord, yes.
Changing, adding them. And so.
Yeah, Lord, yes. We used to take them, re-arch them, put different ways, and what was it, Settle Spring over there used to fix them for us. And different ways.
I bought, only leaf spring car I ever drove was that late model I had. And I ended up buying a pair of Chrysler springs. I got them from Petty. Boy, they made a heck of a difference. I mean, the car really hook up good. But other than that, it was just a guessing game, just, to see what worked and what didn't. But, yeah, we've changed a few springs.
Now, you done most you set it with a front end back them days.
All right,
back end, you didn't do a whole
So
lot.
nowadays, and people that know anything about us, we still use grain scales, like a feed scale. Most of your teams, I'd say the 90% of your teams now use electronic scales and with the roll-off pads, and it's very high-tech. So what we do is for people that don't know, what we call wedge or bite is how much more your left rear weighs than your right rear. So if your left rear is 200 pounds and your right rear is 600 pounds, you got 200 pounds of bite or 200 pounds of wedge. Back in the day, y'all didn't have scales. So I've heard stories of the socket. You put a socket under the frame rail, okay? So just to give people an idea, I've been at the racetrack before back in the day. This was back before Gale Force machines and all that kind of stuff. You both taught me this, you first, but taught me that if your frame height stayed the same, and you change that spring, the car doesn't know you changed the spring as far as your bite, your wedge is concerned. So I'm assuming that socket was kind of that layman's way of figuring it out. So whatever you explain to how the socket, what did that play? What role did that play in the setup?
We put the socket on the center of the jack. We'd put it under the center of the rear end, and we'd start jacking it up. And back then, I mean, you want the right rear to come up about 2 inches more than the left rear.
Okay.
And you figured you was in the ballpark then, but that's how we done it. Just
well, wait a minute. You got to give more detail. So you put the same socket every time, I'm assuming, right?
No,
it didn't matter. So all you were doing was just jacking it up.
Right.
So when you jacked it up, what were you looking for?
we're looking for that right rear to come up.
Okay, so if the right rear didn't come up,
We know
where
to
you
change
want it.
Yeah, we had to
so you
change
had to
it.
start cranking
Yes.
on the shocks and springs. Okay. Because I didn't know that. I assumed that you
It'll
put the
work like
socket
that
under the
today.
frame rail.
You
Do
can
what?
do it. It'll work like that today.
I'm sure you could.
Yeah, no, you jack it up. So, of course, yours probably come up 6 inches.
Yeah.
More than it would.
Well, just like I think, Tommy, when you came in the shop the other day and I had 2 jack stands with a string running down through there, and he said, y'all don't have lasers? I said, well, yeah, we do, but a string don't lie. So as long as you know where you're at, that would work. I always thought that you were just going off of frame height. I didn't know you were jacking the rear end up for travel.
Well, we did the frame height too.
Yeah, but
Back then, you had to be at least 2 inches off the ground
Yeah.
plus getting that little situation.
Okay.
It was crazy.
But can you imagine back then? I mean, maybe a little earlier, didn't nobody check stagger. I mean,
I can remember growing up with you, and you didn't check stagger.
No.
I can remember, and correct
Y'all-
me.
Yeah.
Well, I was younger, so I mean, my memory may be fuzzy. I can remember you would go to the win on Saturday night at the stadium, unload the car on Thursday, wipe it off, move some tires and wheels around, and put it right back on the truck. And I can remember, if I'm not mistaken, you took the same car to Caraway. And what, you changed the gear and that was it. I don't remember much spring changes and
didn't do much.
no stagger.
If you
And,
was close at one track, you usually pretty close at the rest of them.
and see, nowadays we basically feel like we're rebuilding a whole car when we go from track to track. So
But the stagger deal, I don't think it ever come into effect. The Wood Brothers went to Indy and pitted some IndyCar driver. And that's where they come up with they found out about the stagger.
okay.
And they won a bunch of races because of that too.
Well, I mean, just think about. I mean, we know. Think about how much stagger matters. Think about at Caraway with a spool with a straight rear end. We run a roughly 3 inches of stagger. Well, if you didn't know anything about stagger and you went out with 1 inch of stagger, you're talking about a totally different race car.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you could have done to fix it except change the stagger. So that I could see where that would be big. And I know Phillip's he used to preach to me when I'd go out and car wouldn't turn, it'd be tight. And he'd lay the solo cup. So just to give you an idea, I gave a little tutorial about the wedge and the bite. So stagger is how much bigger your right rear tire is than your left rear tire.
Yeah.
So imagine, like Phillip used to say, the old solo cup. Lay a solo cup on its side and spin it. And what happens? It goes in a circle because one side's bigger than the other. So the bigger that right rear is than the left rear, that's the more stagger you have, the better the car will turn. So do you remember that? Do you remember when stagger came into play? Like when you finally figured out what stagger was?
The car I got hurt in, William Mason owned that car, and he taught me a lot about a car. And we used to go up there, and he had an old dog. And he would get a Coca-Cola, and he would pour that dog some drink out in the cup, and he'd drink the rest of it. When he got through, he'd say, "Boys, nothing makes a car turn like stagger." And he'd roll that cup. I bet I've seen him do it a dozen times. But I want to tell you a little story about him. We was up there one Friday night working on the car, getting it ready for Saturday. And all of a sudden, his wife would fix us a sandwich, and we was in there eating a sandwich, and the doorbell rung, and it was old Big Sweet Hanson, a wrestler. He had broke down out there on 220. He was going to the National Guard Armory to wrestle. So anyway, William took his old truck, went down there and pushed him around, bought his car up there, and the alternator had quit on it. And had the biggest man I think I ever seen. He had a big old cauliflower ear, but he had 4 little midgets in the car with him. They was going to the National Guard Army to be the preliminary bout up there, them little midgets. And he said, "Well, I reckon we're going to have to be the main event now." But I never will forget that as long as I live. And old Big Sweet Hanson looked like a giant, and them 4 little midgets in the car. And I said, "Well, which one of y'all are dirty?" And he said, "Well, we're going to be the dirty ones tonight."
Where's Dixon when you need him, right, Tommy?
Yeah, that's getting away from racing.
That's all right.
That
That's
beat
all right.
anything I've ever seen, to see all that going on. But those little midgets, they just running around there carrying on. They're going up there and beat the crap out of each other,
Oh, man. Well, we was talking about Franklin County and him telling this crazy stories about breaking down. If I remember correctly, tell me about the time y'all I guess you and Moorfield and somebody else maybe blow the radiator hose.
Yeah, well, we used to pull the race car with his pickup, but something was wrong. And I had old Thunderbird, and I was pulling that race car with that Thunderbird. Well,
Just on like old flat trailer or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
and the radio we was going to Sparky Speedway the next night. So we blew the radiator hose. We got it back on there, cut some off of it, and got it back on there. But we didn't have no water or anything, so we was pouring out of the beer cooler. We poured what water was left in it, and we put a few sodas in there and a few beers, whatever it took to fill it up.
I heard you, the story I heard, you topped it off with something else. If I heard it right, that y'all had to put some pee in it or something.
Probably did, yeah. We put a little bit, whatever it took to fill it up.
That's what you had to do, right?
But we got it going, made it to the motel room, and went on to Sparky the next day.
Well, that's some of the stories that I've heard y'all tell, about. Okay, there we go. Tommy's giving us some ideas now here, because I know you both have had. We've all at this table, other than you, Devin, have had some rivalries throughout the years. Let's talk about Junior Miller. Let's talk about Junior Miller.
Do I have to?
No, well,
I'm sorry.
Here's the thing. It's no secret that there's no love loss. But at the same time, with you two, and then with me coming up, and even when you two were racing before I started, I was a part of it, whether I was on the racetrack or not. But I can remember, obviously, you having rivalries with Junior Miller and run-ins, and then the stories that was told about back in the day, and with Cup and Grand National and stuff. And then you've had some run-ins with Junior Miller, and I've had run-ins with Junior Miller. Just to get let's talk a little bit about that. I want to get Phillip riled up a little bit, because I've seen him do it. I remember, if I'm not correct, you can help me. You were leading a race, and it was after your daddy died?
Yeah.
Didn't Junior take you out one night?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I was leading the race, and we come around, and they throw the caution about 2 laps to go, and he wasn't even nowhere close to me as far as winning the race, and we had a restart there, and boy, pile drive me and knocked me out of the race. But I think deep down he might have been a little jealous of when he first got started, before he got going very good about. I don't know. He was a weird individual for us. He made a comment, said he'd spin his mama out to win a race.
I've heard that.
And I thought that
I believe him.
I thought that was pretty rough,
I believe him.
But I lost several races on kind of controversy, but anyway, what do? You gotta
listen.
It's always a bully in the pasture. I'm telling you, it's always.
Yeah, it is. And here's the thing. Like I said, there's no love loss, and I've lost a bunch of races and a bunch of championships because of controversy with other people and Junior Miller.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he was a big part of the history. Whenever you guys were racing at Bowman Gray and the wins and championships he had, he might have got some of them in different ways than some of the other ones have. But, Daddy, I remember, I've heard your side of the story, and that's the side I believe, obviously. So there was a deal with a motor. You borrowed a motor, or he loaned you a motor.
Yeah, well,
This was Grand National, right?
Yeah, it was cut. The deal was he wanted me to carry my car. I believe it is Talladega. He wanted me to carry my car and put his number on it, and he was going to furnish the motor. Okay. Well, we go down there, and we're not running quite fast enough. So, can't remember the guy's name. It was his crew chief, Hardy. But anyway, he said, well, let's go ahead and put that other motor in. I said, well, man, that's up to you. So he put that other motor in, which was a whole lot better motor. It's fresh. And we made the race and everything. And we was running along there. I don't know how many laps we'd run, but the motor blowed up. Well, they carried it back to the shop, and he pulled the motor out. And Don Hardy carried the motor back to Junior, blowed up. So, wasn't no big deal. I mean, that's the way it was supposed to be. I mean, yeah, we wasn't supposed to run that motor, but it wasn't my decision. But he made out like it was. But anyway, when I quit Cup, he wanted to buy one of my motors. I had good motors, and he wanted to buy one of them. So I sold it to him. He was going to pay me after the race. Went to Daytona. He blowed up about 4 motors down there, everything he had. And something was wrong with his oiling system. He had some oil lines crossed or something. But I never got paid for my motor, and he always claimed I owed him for a motor.
Well, it's funny how that sounds like a social media story from today, doesn't it? What is it, Doc? What is it?
You know, that one was at the bank.
Oh, well, I don't know I guess as long as we don't tell, locations, we can just say.
We better leave that
No,
alone.
you can tell that story. Go ahead. So,
He and I had a little run in at a bank. And he run in the back of my car.
you were in the drive-through.
Yeah, we was in a drive-through, and he said, "Hurry up, I ain't got all day." And anyway, I had a little old car, and he hit me with his truck, and I think he cracked his light. And I got out and went back there, so we had a few blows at the bank. Called the law, but anyway, that's all behind us. But that wasn't even on the racetrack, but that was nothing but jealousness the way that took place, you know.
Yeah, I mean, me and Junior was really good friends till I started beating him regular. And
You know, there's somebody else I raced with that was that I've got that same relationship with. Somebody I'm not going to say a name, but I was really good friends with another driver till I started winning races and championships, and his attitude changed.
It
But
does.
anyway, it happens. It happens.
I remember that one night I won the race, and he finished second, and he protested me, and we pulled a valve cover off, and had a broken rock arm. And Billy Joe was my crew chief then. Billy said, "Look at here. They got protesting outrun you on 7 cylinders." Now, boy, that didn't fit very well at all.
Yeah, I remember that night.
Yeah, it was quite a night.
Oh Lord, it's
But that's just Bowman Gray for you, you know, the way all the controversy goes on. And I really feel like today it's a lot of jealousness goes on over there. You go over there and they don't want the same person to stink up a show all the time. But a lot of people will do something just try to, I'm going to beat him or else. I'm going to beat him or else, or I'm going to knock him out the race. I outrun Burt Myers tonight, you know, and that really makes them feel like Superman or something, you know.
Yeah.
But you got to work on your car. You got to keep it competitive. And I never did set the woods on fire, but I done what I had to do
Yeah.
to try to stay up front. You did too.
Yeah.
Well, the people don't realize, and especially with you, I joke with people. I can remember as a kid, if you had a couple bad weeks at the racetrack, we ate ham sandwiches all week.
Yeah.
You know, it's about priority, and it's about your dedication, and it's about doing what you got to do to go as fast as you can and put everything you got in that race car. Now, sometimes it's a blessing, sometimes it's a curse, because it can get you in trouble. And y'all both probably know people who have lost their houses over racing and their wives and everything else. But it's about how much you want to put into it. And from what I see over my career, there's a lot of guys that say, well, must be nice to have good motors and good race cars, but they got a house at the beach and a boat.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have a house at the beach. I don't have a boat, but you damn right I got some good race cars.
Yeah.
It's about what you want to put your time and effort and priority into.
Yeah.
And so the formula at Bowman Gray creates drama. The formula itself creates drama. But in my mind, I've always said this, if you run me down from behind and you run me down and you're faster than me and you're knocking me around, I don't mean wreck me, but if you move me, I can't be mad at you for doing something I would have done. The part about Bowman Gray that bothers me is you have to factor in the formula, okay? If it's a draw race and you're starting in front of me because you outdrew me and you're holding me up and I knock you out of the way, how can you be mad? Okay? Go back and work on your race car. And I've seen it lately in this last several weeks, and God, I don't know why it seems so bad right now, but it does.
Yeah.
If you are being knocked out of the way every week by different cars, you can't be mad at those guys. Now, overdriving your car to run into you is a whole different story. But when a guy's working you and he's working you and he's working you and he finally knocks you out of the way, and sometimes you end up in the infield, man, you need to get your car faster.
Yeah.
You need to get your car faster. And listen, I've been on both sides of that. But you know what I did when I was growing up and I was a rookie and Phillip Smith or Gary Myers or Junior Miller or Johnny Johnson got behind me and was knocking me around? I got out of the way and I followed you guys and I learned from you guys. And the mentality now is just different. And like I said, it's because of TV shows and because of social media and all the excitement and the drama that comes with racing at Bowman Gray Stadium.
Well, you got guys that gets a good draw and starts up front, and their crews tell them, "Yeah, man, you can win if you start up there. You can win. You ain't got a chance in hell of winning." But he starts up there, and then they get moved and gets mad about it.
Or wrecks half the field trying to. Yeah.
But
I get it. Listen, I get it because here's the deal. 100-lap races with a cone now. Back in the day, they didn't have the cone. That was different. With the cone now, you're probably one of about 5 cars that's going to win the race. The Twin 50 night, the first Twin 50, you got one of about 5 cars that can win the race. Now, the second Twin 50 could be hit or miss. With a cone and 50 laps, it gives the faster cars time to get back to the front. But at the same time, we saw this past weekend, that second 50 lapper can get crazy. Your first Twin 25 is going to be your faster cars because we start straight up. The second 25 lapper with single file restarts and with a deep enough draw, anybody can win that race. So I get that part. And I get that if I can't, and listen, the more I think about this, I'm not trying to discount what anybody's doing because some guys are not, I know I'm blessed to have the resources I do. And some guys do everything they can and just can't afford to do it. And I have compassion for those guys because I wish that there was a way for them to experience what I've got to experience. But at the same time, you have to get the mirror out sometimes and look in that mirror and realize what situation you're putting yourself in.
Yeah, I remember going to a race at Caraway. It was a big race on Sunday. And something was wrong with my motor. I don't remember what it was, but it was way down on horsepower. So I was running back in the pack, from halfway back. And I got, man alive, I've never had to drive so hard in my life. I mean, them guys back there are racing hard. Mm-hmm. I mean, for 15th place, and they hitting each other. I said, man, I don't need to stay back here. I tell you,
I don't know why that is, but it does seem like mid-pack. You're racing twice as hard as you are if you're up front.
Yeah.
Oh, me. Oh, Lordy. Well, Doc, there's got to be something else you can. I know you, and I wish, I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. But
you want to hear another story?
I do want to hear another story. That's why I brought you guys on here today. I want to hear another story.
I was driving a little old car for the Decker brothers, a little old Falcon. I was running the class under the late models. And we had running on dirt down at Sanford, North Carolina. John Ziegler had a car there, 66 Ford Fairlane, best I remember. And they had a bounty on him. And they didn't have enough cars to run with the late models because, that car was winning all the races. And he'd won 4 in a row, and they had a $400 bounty on him. So they let 5 of us sportsman cars, so-called, it was a Falcon they was driving, I was driving, let us run with them. So we started the race, and they had a crash or 2, and then next thing I knew, I was in second place running behind that Ford. And they had a caution of about 2 laps to go. And I noticed old Norman Baden's right front tire was flat. And there it was. They had to restart, and I started off, and he bounced off the wall, and I went around him. And I won the race, and I won a $400 bounty off of that car on account of a flat tire. And they just created the biggest fuss. Oh, he had a flat tire. They didn't want to pay it. They didn't want to pay it. And those Decker brothers, boy, now they got hot on them, but they finally paid me for it. Yeah.
So how much dirt racing have you done?
I done right smart.
Yeah. That's one thing I've never
We used
got
to go
do.
to Raleigh Fairgrounds on Friday night and race on dirt. And they had that little old place I drove with them Decker brothers, and we'd run I run Caraway actually when it was dirt, before they paid it. And we used to go to Concord, had a little old dirt track down at Concord and race on dirt. Go down on Friday nights and be up all night. In fact, I lost my job one night because I didn't get home in time. I was supposed to went in the next day. I was working at the White Motor Company, and I was supposed to come in on Saturday and work, and overslept. Didn't get to work, and went in Monday. And
I've lost a job over racing too.
I have too. I guess we all have.
I guess we all have.
And another time, it was down at the fairground, and I was driving a car. We had about a 10th place car. And anyway, I was going to tell you the story before the race started, and I got me an old set. We used to run them old M&H slicks. You remember them things, Gary?
Yeah, I remember.
And Daddy had a groover, and I took that groover, and I grooved them old slicks, and that old track down there get hard as a rock. But anyway, before the race started, we got there a little early, and Jimmy Dean, the sausage man, was putting on a show at the fairground. And Joe Murnick was the promoter. He wanted me to take him a lap around the racetrack. And he got in there, and he had a leisure suit on. I never will forget it. Pair of cowboy boots. And he was hanging on to the roll cage in that old Chevrolet that I was driving. And I took him around, and the racetrack was soaked down in water, and I actually scared myself. We went around there, and I got in that loose mud, and I went up real high. And by the time I was going to hit the guardrail, he caught a dry spot, and he caught a hole, and he jerked around. I threw the red mud all over him. But anyway, we come back around, and he got out of the car, and he said, "You crazy SOB." That's what he called me. But he had a little drink or two. You could smell it on him, you know. But I never will forget that. But that same night, we went ahead and run a heat race, and I just about run dead last in the heat race. They had 10-lap heat races, and then we'd run the feature. But anyway, Haskell Willingham was a tough nut down there. And I put them old groove slicks on. And we started the race, and they fussed at me for doing all that. And that old track got hard, and I just run around on the bottom just like I was driving on asphalt. And I seen Haskell up there on top trying to make his old car turn, dodging the holes and everything. And I won the race that night. Just don't count them old groove slicks. But that was quite a show. But I'll never forget that night as long as I live about Jimmy Dean getting in that car. And Joe Murnick gave me a $50 bill for taking him a lap. I'll never forget that.
Well, see, that's what I mean, though. Is like now, everybody has basically the same motor, same car, same tires, same carburetor. See, back then there was innovation. Hey, man, let me try this. Let me groove these tires. Let me see what this does. And sadly, that's what racing has lost.
Yeah. You could go to the Chevrolet place and buy a motor and change the cam and the oil pan on it. Pretty much ready. Put that 302 camshaft in it. That's basically what we run back when we was running the...
Just a crate motor.
No, it wasn't a crate motor. It was really a built motor.
Okay.
The Chevrolet had a 302 come out, but that had a different cam in it than the 350s. But you get a 350 block and put a 302 camshaft in it. It went about $95 for the camshaft. And do that, and you could go racing.
Huh.
But you need to change your oil pan, the pickup in it, because we didn't have dry sumps back in them days.
Yeah, because it'd sling it, I guess.
You used to fix a pickup out on the right side of the pan. You remember that, Gary?
Yeah. How much dirt did I've heard you ran at 311 some, didn't you?
Yeah, very little.
Very little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I run, I took a claiming car that I'd claimed at the stadium and went down there and run. And I'll never forget, I drove outside the pole one night, and the hot dog down there, I can't remember his name. He see him at Ace all the time. What was
Jimmy Rumley?
no?
Come out at 311?
Yeah, well,
Norman Baden?
no, it was. I can't think of his name. Anyway,
Monk Tate.
he was starting on the pole, and first lap I hung with him through 1 and 2, and then he put me over the bank coming off of 2. I went down there and at the creek. Well, it wasn't a creek; it was just a bank. But had to get pulled out of there, and I don't know that I ever went back after that.
Yeah. I've had a couple opportunities to drive dirt, but I never got to do it. I
think it really helps a driver.
It probably does,
learn every way about a car.
Well, Ben tells me, Ben Gable that owns Slate Stadium car.
Yeah.
He's in the dirt world, and he said because no mirror and no radio, that you have a lot of more of your senses are working.
Yeah.
And he said it really helps you.
Yeah.
You know.
I remember flagging over at 311. I flagged over a half a season. And the boys, they didn't have no rear view mirrors and nothing. And I made it mandatory for them to have a rear view mirror. And they wanted to start a race coming off of number 3, and I made them stop all that, you know. But I don't think nobody liked me very good. But they couldn't get a race over with before midnight, and they had a curfew. They had to have it over with by midnight.
Yeah.
And I made me a little extra money going over there. I remember working on the track and trying to help with a motor grader try to get the holes out of that thing, but that's been years ago. Jimmy Johnson was pretty much a little hot shoe over there on dirt.
Yeah.
He was all right.
Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's in the shot. Is the roof in the shot here, I guess, Devin? This is a roof that I think was on a car you were driving, and then when Daddy started driving.
Yeah, we had Oldsmobile on it.
Yeah. So we put that up today. I've had that at the shop. A friend gave it to me. I had that at the shop. You see both of the Daddy and Phillip both have autographed it. So that's an oldie goldie. That's an oldie goldie.
You see that number 10 up there.
Yep. That's for Kenny Minner.
Kenny Minner Memorial patch we put on there.
Yep. I remember, well, obviously we all were at Caraway when he got killed over there.
You don't know what year that was?
Gosh, dog it, and I sure don't.
I don't
remember. Was
Hard
it
to remember all these
mid-90s?
years.
Mid-90s maybe?
Huh?
Was it mid-90s maybe? Yeah.
I remember putting that on there.
I got one of those stickers on the mirror in my bedroom.
Do you?
Sitting there the whole time, yeah.
I'll be darned. I don't know why 95 is because I was not running smart. I remember I was standing on the top of the trailer watching the race. 95? Okay. I remember standing on top of the hauler, and I don't think I was running smart yet. And it was at Caraway going into turn 3. I remember it.
You think that's when it was?
I think it's 90. He just said he looked it up. It was 95. Yep,
It
1995. Yep. So that roof would have been a roof you had.
Well, Gary was driving for me then because his name was on there.
Yeah, but I mean, that roof was on the car when you drove it.
Yeah.
And then when he got in it, it was, so both of you guys, that was a roof, both of you guys.
Yeah.
Got Callahan in, and Callahan was on the car when I drove some
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So, oldie goldie. Yeah, Phillip, I was showing Tommy that drip rail up there on the front is not your standard factory drip rail up there at the top. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. You got a little Bondo.
Yeah, it's got a little Bondo in it.
You wasn't supposed to run that if you run NASCAR. You wasn't supposed to put that in there. It's supposed to be a natural looking scene there.
Had to cut that arrow.
I think Goob.
He put that in there for aerodynamics. You can see it. I don't know how much you can see on the camera, but so if you can see this edge right here, they call that the drip rail. That was a factory Cavalier top, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, it was.
And so when you get those from Chevrolet, it had that drip rail in there because that's a top that actually went on a Cavalier, Chevrolet Cavalier.
I had forgot about that, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, so in that front up there, excuse me, it has that same look. So they filled it in with Bondo.
I remember they might have put them zoos in there to, in case something happened, you get the top off.
Get the top off,
really.
Yeah.
I know when I drove for Phillip, he had the best crew that I've ever worked with, really. I mean, old Goob and Billy Joe and Richard Gray. I mean, them was some good boys.
Sweet Richard.
Yeah.
Sweet Richard. And
old Goob.
Sparky.
Yeah.
What was his real
Yeah.
name?
I
I can see his face.
Forgot about
we
him.
called him Toby too.
Yeah.
Goob always called him
But old,
Toby.
old Goob, he'd leave the shop every night. He'd gone about 10 minutes, and here he come back.
Forgot something.
I've got to cut the switch off.
Main switch.
Yeah.
I've heard him
Main
say that.
Every time. I
Every
mean,
time.
He'd wear the bolts out tight. A
Oh, me.
lot of fun.
Well, one thing so
One night over there, talking about David Comer, that was his name. He called him Goob. He got too hot. He get too hot real easy. And we was coming down the road, and he said, "Doc, turn that air on." And he called me Doc. I had that thing wide open coming down the road, and my wife, Sharon, she was in the back seat. And all of a sudden, old Goob just fell out. And his hair, I sworn he was sticking straight up on his head. And I Sharon, do something. I said, "Give him mouth to mouth." She reached over and went to giving him mouth to mouth. And finally we got off the highway, and I pulled in there in the little old service station, drug him out on the ground, and run in there and told him to call 911. They sent the ambulance out there. By the time the ambulance got there, he didn't come too. And I called his wife, Pat, and I said, "Pat, what do you want me to do with him?" She said, "Lord, don't bring him home." But he was all right. He just got too hot and just blacked out and scared me to death. I thought he was dying, boy. I'm telling you what, straight. He was white. I never seen him make his hair stood straight up on his head.
he was just a cheap. It was just a cheap trick trying to get Sharon to give him mouth to mouth, wasn't it?
No, he was out. But he really stayed on top of a car as far as worried about what was going on. And then he worked for me some too.
The main thing I remember about Goob is when somebody would get loud and excited and get riled up, and Goob would always say the main thing to remember is not to get excited. I remember, and to this day, we'll still say that. Yeah. Somebody will get riled up and say, "You remember what Goob used to say?"
He was a character. Well, he's still around, but he's got some health issues.
Well, I want to talk about, now that we've kind of wrapped it up, I want to tell a little bit about what I've done, just because it's in the 4 and the 1 and driving for you. So in the number 4, I got my first win in 98. And the cool thing about that is, and Devin will probably have a picture of it, is that was the 50th year anniversary of NASCAR. And I actually painted the car. We painted it solid black with a white 4 and put the NC on it. And the left front wheel was half black and half white, because that's what Grandpa did.
yeah.
In the number 4, I was a Bowman Gray champ in 99 and 01. I was a smart champ in 02. When I started driving for Phillip, and we used that same car, we just put a 1 on it, because Phillip kind of took over everything. I was a Bowman Gray champ in 07, 10, 11, 13, 16, 17, 18, 19, and last year in 24. I was a smart champ in 21 and 23. I was the NASCAR Welland Southern Modified Tour champ in 2010 and 2016, driving the number 1. A cool thing, I just made a note here. Billy, your dad, his brother Bobby, drove the 6A, and it's just a coincidence that now Slate's in the 6.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool that all the numbers, I like history and I like how it all wraps up together, but the 4 and the 6 and the 1, that's just a cool stat, I guess you could say. So Phillip, I know you were, by the notes, you were 17 when you started. How old were you when you started racing? You remember?
Oh, I started fooling with it when I was about 16.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just thought it wasn't nothing like them.
Well,
Mother used to take me up there.
It's not. It's
I really believe a race car driver is a lot like a good truck driver or a heavy equipment operator. Some drivers are natural. Some of them not. Some what I call a store-bought. And if you're a natural, I just hate to see talent wasted on a natural driver and he can't race because he don't have the funds or nothing,
Yeah.
But my daughter used to preach to me before a race was starting. She was a cheerleader at school. She'd say, "Oh, Dad." And I'd say, "Yeah." "Introduce yourself." I say, "My name is Phillip." She'd say, "Yo, I'm a race car driver." "Yeah, I'm the best from all the rest, so check me out." Yeah. It was a cheerleader song,
I've heard you say that, but I didn't know that was the story behind it.
Yeah, but she'd say that before I'd go to a race, get me pumped up. We'd share that little information together, you know. But she's really stuck behind me in my career, and my whole family still sticks behind you. And so, you know, it's quite a history here. But since I got hooked up with a Myers, and Lord knows how many races we have won.
Oh gosh.
What Gary's
Well,
won,
you know,
Jason's won, and I won.
I was
you
making
won.
all these notes, and when you on the way here, when you mentioned Friendship, I forgot all about Friendship.
Yeah.
I mean, we won a ton of races at Friendship.
We did.
And with him driving for you, and then when I started driving for you.
And then that late model we got, we went over there and just threw the thing together, put a bunch of old shocks on it that we had put rear shocks on the front, and went over there and just skinned everybody.
Yeah, we did. Well, I know.
But to get back to Friendship now, you know, I worked hard so we'd have another racetrack to race at. Back then, we didn't have very few. Run Caraway and Bowman Gray. That's about it.
Yeah.
And I done a lot of work up there as far as grading to try to get that place, but it played out. It didn't work out too long, you know. But boy, I made the first lap around there in a pan.
Yeah. That was Friendship was really a perfect racetrack for modifieds. It was big enough you could race, but it was small enough that you had to work a man sometimes.
Yeah,
that was really a fun track. I heard a rumor that I guess it's went to dirt, obviously, and I heard it's opening back up again.
Yeah,
and
I heard that in 311.
311 too. Now I saw on social media, but you know what to say. If it's on the internet, you can believe it. But that'd be cool if Friendship was still. I remember when they put dirt on it, it brought a tear to my eye when they put dirt back on that place. I miss that place.
Yeah, I do too. It worked out good.
Yeah, but it's hard to, we've talked about on other shows on here. It's hard to compete with Bowman Gray. And Bowman Gray's running weekly on Saturday night.
Yeah.
It's hard for other tracks to compete. Nobody really has been successful. The Smart Tour does a really good job, but they run their schedule around Bowman Gray. So it makes it tough racing against Bowman Gray during the week. But anyway, before we wrap it up here, is there anything else any other stories pop into your mind? Now's your chance. We've told right many today. I'm sure, same way with you two is the same way it'll be with me. As soon as we get done, there'll be another story. Yeah. So for the audience listening, there will be about 3 more stories that'll be told in this room as soon as Devin cuts the thing off. Oh yeah, I remember this or I remember that. But
whole story I got, boy, my back hurts.
Your back hurts. Yeah. Well, people understand, and it's sad because Slate was talking about his back hurting the other day, and modifieds, people don't understand this. Modifieds, the bumpers line up for a reason, and it's metal on metal. Yeah. And in a modified, we're sitting in an aluminum seat with about a 1/2 inch of padding. So when you hit somebody, your body just absorbs every bit of it. Yeah. So we all have bad backs because of
racing gets in your blood. Hard to get away from.
I can't. Well, it's like I said, the times I've thought about quitting, I think about it would hurt me even more to not race than it does to go through some of the stuff you have to go through. So
you got a lot to look forward to with Slate coming on.
Yeah, I hope so. We gotta do what we can to help him progress his career. And
I didn't really want to quit racing when I got hooked up with Gary. I mean, didn't want to quit driving, but I was in a situation where I about had to. I had to look after my parents and a business, but that's the way life goes, and I don't regret a bit of it.
Yeah.
And I've had a pretty good career. I just hate I wasted half my career driving old junk stuff. So, you don't never know.
Right. All right. Well, I guess we'll wrap it up. Thank you guys for coming on.
It's a pleasure.
It's been fun. Fans watching don't realize that this. I get to live this life at least twice a week when Phillip comes to shop and Daddy's over there, and we get to tell stories and stuff. So I'm very privileged to be able to be a part of y'all's racing, and thank y'all both for what you've done for me, and it's been awesome. So don't forget to tune in to or check out racefangear.com. All of our merchandise, as you can see, Phillip's wearing one of the Burt Slate shirts today. We have those on there, the Citrusafe stuff on there. I think it's probably getting close to the diecast are getting close. We heard August, and a couple weeks ago I went by and signed a bunch of windshields that they were going to put in the die-cast cars. So they got to be getting close. So anyway, thanks to everybody for tuning in. Thank you guys for being here, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.